Hello. Um, I guess it is time to share some news. Uh, so let me just start by saying that we have Sloan home, and she is just a very normal version of herself. She has a PICC line still in place, and sorry, I'm breathing deep because I have a lot to share, and it actually really weighs a lot, even though you can't see it. Um, we have her home, and she's in good spirits. We had a really good day. Our last day at the hospital up until about 1:45 was really good. The doctor was supposed to come at 1 and didn't. And then 1:30 came and he didn't come. And I told Jordy, I said, that is not a good sign. He is not one to run behind. So he got there and we went down to like this little sitting area and in the hospital on the 9th floor while Sloan did her breathing treatments. And we were very, very slowly explained that Mycobacterium has colonized in Sloan's lungs, so it's pretty much everywhere. One of her lobes has collapsed. And the findings, while still not confirmed by a subspecies diagnosis, we'll have that Monday or later, is showing very much to be abscessus. We have a really big mountain to climb. We were really hoping we were hoping to never experience this very rare bacteria, even in the CF community, but here we are. We were hoping for avium complex because it was just a little bit more treatable. And the medications would allow her to not have a PICC line or a possible port. At this point, the port is in because there is a lot of what's the word? Not speculation, but evidence that based on her CT scan and based on how fast it is growing, that it is indeed abscessus. Abscessus. And then to see her CT scan, the Mycobacterium covers like the outer wall, and then in the middle area, and then it kind of like branches out. So black in a CT scan is good, white is bad. There was a lot of white. There was still a lot of black. So it's not like, again, like Sloan has a lot of color to her face. She says she feels great. She says she doesn't feel any different than she ever has. And that's the crazy thing about cystic fibrosis is these kids don't even know what they're missing. And they are so happy. So obviously with this news, Jordy and I are once again heartbroken. Once again looking down a barrel of a gun and asking it to please not trigger. It's been it's been 11 days since the hospital stay. It's been 14 days since we were told we needed to go into the hospital. I think I'm doing my math right there. So the side effects of the medication are heavy. And because she is colonized, they don't believe they're going to get it in the first year. So we are currently scheduled for a 365-day, every day cocktail of 4 antibiotics, 2 of which are IVs, 1 is inhaled, and 1 is oral. After the first 3 months, they will consider taking her off the IVs and putting her onto an oral one. I don't know if it's the same or if they transition after the first 3 months, but the first 3 months are going to be really hard. People are reporting as a common side effect nausea, vomiting, migraines, diarrhea, basically the things that you don't want to leave your house for. Long term, like as you continue to use the drug, there's a heart defect that can come with using some of these drugs. So she'll be on an EKG machine every month, checking that. Also, hearing loss is really big. A lot of the teenagers fighting this have hearing aids. So, quality of life is definitely going to change, and by no means is that like, something to have a total pity party for, because I get it. Like, people are born deaf and they have wonderful, fulfilling lives. I'm just sad that her normal is changing. I am sad that this is a thing that we have to deal with as a family. I'm sad for my husband because I think he wants to carry us, and I just wish he knew, like, it was not expected. He's a fantastic father, and and I'm a really good mom, but we are sad for her, and we're sad for the boys, and we're sad for, like, the life that we know, and also, the life that we were hoping to start having this summer, because we've made some pretty big gains as far as, like, having the boys and getting them old enough to, do things. Having babies is hard, and Jordy's career was a total, 24/7 type of thing. I mean, he's not really able to really stop, because nobody's ever able to really pick up where he left off. So if he stops, then more piles, and that's no different than today. That's still the same. And so he's having, I hate this for him, because we're in a different season all of a sudden, and there's still no time. So, let's see here. Oh yes, very important. There's a study out of the UK that was announced in January that 3 antibiotics that we've all heard of, one of which is like azithromycin, a Z-Pak. These 3 team together do a really good job of fighting Mycobacterium, and they're much less hard on the body. And so it hasn't gone into patient trials yet, but all the drugs are already FDA approved, and they are hoping, and they may have already started. The last paper on it was in February, which makes us think that maybe they are running the drugs in some patients at Birmingham Hospital in the UK. So I've reached out to the lead scientist on it, as well as the doctor. I've let them know that we have about a week before we start our own cocktails, and if we can find any reason at all that we can be a participant in her stuff, we would want to do that, because if we can keep Sloan, Sloan's normalcy of life the same as the neighbors are in our yard with their dogs right now. Anyways, so that is kind of where we are at. Sorry, this is very distracting. Yesterday was a day of, grief and sadness, and ultimately, like, the same thing that happened when we found out that Sloan had CF. We proved to each other time and time again that we are each other's rock, and we will continue to be that for each other, and to give that foundation to our kids through this whole thing. Jordy and I have a really strong marriage, and we have a really, really strong support system. So things are going to look different, and people aren't going to know how to help, and I won't know what I need until I need it. And I know that I have some really great people that will just be there when I say, oh, I need whatever. So that is, in a nutshell, the news that you guys were all waiting. Like I said, if it's, well, I didn't say this, but let me explain. So if Mycobacterium abscessus really is what is growing, we should have that final result in maybe Friday, but possibly Monday or within the next week. The longer it takes for it to culture the subspecies, the more likely it is avium complex, which is what we're still pulling for. So those of you who like to pray specifically, I would say pray for avium complex. Pray for minimal side effects. No side effects would be better. Pray for the boys to be fluid through this whole thing and only keep the best of memories. Pray for my marriage. Pray for our marriage. Pray for my parents because they are so behind us in all of this. And ultimately, like, just remember that Sloan is just Sloan. She is by no means a different kid because of all this. In fact, if anything, I've seen more of Sloan come out through this all, mainly because she's had 11 days to herself. But she's resilient. She's super special. We have every hope and thought that a long, very, very full life is ahead of her. But as her parents and as her friends and family, we've got to rally behind her right now, because what she's being asked to do, well, it's straight up not fair. And I don't blame her one bit for not wanting to do it. And what I told her at the hospital, because I, pretty strict sometimes, was when we get home, it doesn't go back to normal. Our new normal is very different. I know you don't want to do treatment. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want you to have to do treatment, but you have to do it. There are a lot of people working really hard to keep you and get you better. You have to work just as hard. Same thing about eating. I did the whole spiel. So, anyways, 12 minutes in, which is shorter than my first post. I will let you guys go, but please know your friendship and your love and your we appreciate you. But all of that has been so felt. A friend of mine gave such a visual for me. In the Old Testament, Moses goes up on a hill, and there's a war going on, and as long as his hands are held up high, his battle is being won, or the battle is being won for his people. If he drops his hands, the other team wins. And that is very much how I feel our community have stepped in. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't finish. And so his sons, when he became tired, his sons came in to hold his hands up so he could rest. And it's such a visual of what we are receiving right now in the gift of support. We've never really been comfortable with receiving a lot of acts of kindness because we just want to be normal. But those days are gone. And your acts of kindness and active love is so felt. And because of that, we've been able to be really strong. So thank you. Talk to you later.